guys, welcome back to my kitchen. So in today's video I'm going to share with you a fabulous dessert recipe that has been in my family since the 1950s. It is gold cake with praline topping. I'm also going to add just a drizzle of homemade salted caramel sauce on the top at the end, and it's going to be out of this world delicious. If you would like the recipe for my salted caramel sauce, let me know in the comment section down below and I'll get that up for you guys. Yeah, it's very easy, very basic ingredients. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. I am going to make this one this time in a loaf pan, but you can certainly do this in a cake tin. It works out beautifully both ways. All I did to my loaf pan was just lightly oiled it with some vegetable oil, or you can do butter, and then I just lined it with parchment paper. It'll just help me get it out easier later on when it cools. So let's go over the ingredients and let's get started. Okay guys, for this cake, this is everything you're going to need. Like I said, it's very basic cake recipe with a very basic praline topping. I've got some homemade salted caramel sauce here that I'm gonna add on the top. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to add it to it. For the ingredients, you're going to need some sugar, butter, milk, eggs, flour, some baking powder and salt. You're also going to need some vanilla. Now the original recipe calls for just plain vanilla. I like to use the clear vanilla. I think it just gives it that little something something in the cake batter, so that's what I prefer to use. But if you don't want to use that, by all means use regular plain vanilla. For the topping, you are going to need some brown sugar, some flour, and some chopped pecans. You're going to need some butter and a little bit of water. So let's get this cake going and get it in the oven. Okay guys, we're going to start off with our flour mixture first. And here I've just got the baking powder and salt. I'm going to add that to my flour. I'm going to give this just a little mix. Make sure it's all well combined. Usually when I'm messing with flour, I get it all over me, all over the counter. So we're going to set that aside. And now we're going to work on our butter mixture. So I've got some room temperature butter here that I've just left out overnight. Now when you're making cakes, you want all of your ingredients to be room temperature. It just helps it mix better. So all I'm going to do is just cream this together. Now you can certainly do this in a stand mixer. You can do a handheld mixer, whatever you prefer. Okay guys, so I've got my butter creamed very well. Now it's going to be a little bit tough at the beginning to get it to come together, but just keep working with it. You want it to be nice and light and fluffy. Now we are going to add in our eggs one at a time, and then we're going to mix them in. I'm going to crack them in this bowl and add them in and mix them in really well. Okay guys, I've got my eggs mixed in really well. I like to do this by hand because it's not a really hard or difficult cake to make. The reason why you want to add in your eggs one at a time, because it just helps it come together, and just mix it until you get a nice light fluffy mixture. I'm going to go ahead and add in about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And it's going to give it that beautiful, beautiful cake flavor. Get that all mixed in. Okay, now I am going to switch over to my whisk because we are going to add in our milk. Okay, add in my milk. And I'm just going to whisk this together until it comes together. It might look a little curdled, but that's fine. It'll come together when we add in the flour. Alright, that's all mixed together. Now I'm just going to add my flour in 2 batches so I don't make a mess. Carefully mix this in, because if you are anything like me, you will get this flour everywhere. Add in my second batch, and then just kind of fold and turn until the batter comes together. You don't want to overmix it, because like any cake, it will become very, very tough. So okay. It is a very thick batter, so don't be alarmed. Okay, I've got my pan here and my cake batter. All you're going to do is just pour this into your loaf pan or your cake tin. I make this different every time I make it. Sometimes I make it in a cake tin, sometimes I make it in a loaf tin, and sometimes I make it as a little sheet tray cake. Just depends on how you're feeling when you cook it. So I'm just going to level this out as best as I can. And it's going to bake up beautifully. Now you're going to want to bake this about 25 to 30 minutes, depending on what you bake this in. It could take a little bit longer, a little bit less. This would probably take about 35 to 40 minutes to cook, since it's in a loaf pan. Just keep an eye on it, and when a toothpick that's inserted into the center comes out clean, you're good to go. Okay guys, while the cake is baking, I'm just going to work on my praline topping. You can go ahead and do this, or you can do it later, because you're going to put this back in the oven anyway. So I'm just going to add my butter and my water to my brown sugar flour and my pecans, and I'm just going to mix this together until it's crumbly. Okay guys, so this has come together very nicely. It's mostly like a paste type consistency. You're just going to crumble this over the top later when the cake is done, and then you're just going to put it back in the oven for about 5 minutes or so, about 5 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm just going to let this hang out to the side here, and I'll meet you right back here when we put this on the top of the cake. Okay guys, this has been baking for about 55 minutes, and I just inserted a toothpick in the middle, and I had a crumb or two that come out, but that's completely fine. We're going to put this back in the oven anyway. So now all you're going to do is just put your praline topping on top. It doesn't have to be specific or anywhere. It's going to melt and be beautiful. And you can place this anywhere you like, because when it melts, it's going to coat the top of the cake, and it's going to be beautiful. Just be careful and be mindful of the pan, because it is still very, very hot. Just kind of pat that down on the top there. Now we're going to put this back in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes, just until the top is nice and bubbly and golden and it's spread all over the cake. It's going to be beautiful. We're going to take it out of the oven. We're going to let it cool for 10 minutes in the pan. We're going to put it on a wire rack, and we're going to let it cool completely. In the meantime, while it's cooling, I'm going to drizzle over my my caramel sauce. So I'll meet you right back here when it is completely done. Okay guys, so we're gonna do a little recap and I'm gonna explain to you what I've done. So my cake baked for about 55 minutes. Now this depends on your oven as well as how you bake it. If you make a sheet tray, it will take about 15 to 25 minutes. If you make a cake, if you bake it in a cake tin, it should take about 25 to 35 minutes. If you bake it in a loaf pan, as I've done, it's going to take anywhere between 45 to 55 minutes depending on your oven and the temperature you cook it at. I cook it at 350 and it takes about 50 to 55 minutes for mine to cook. So I just took it out of the oven and I let it cool in the pan for about 10 minutes. I took it out of the pan, placed it on a cooling rack, and I let it cool. While it was cooling, all I did was drizzle over my homemade caramel sauce. You don't have to add it, it's beautiful as is, but I added some. And that's where we're at now. I've gone ahead and cut a slice off. It's still a little bit warm. I just wanted to go ahead and try some for you guys. This is delicious to me. Like I said, you certainly don't have to add the caramel sauce. You can use store-bought if you prefer. So yeah, let's go ahead and try a bite. I want some of this topping. Now the top is going to be a crunchy, slightly crunchy topping, so keep that in mind. And the inside of the cake is going to be nice and fluffy. That is so good. It is going to be perfect for after dinner. So yeah, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And always remember, you can find all of my recipes on my website. I'll always have that linked down in the description box. So you can just click on the link and it takes you right to my website. So yeah, you can pull up any recipe that I have on my channel. There's a few on there that I've not posted on my YouTube channel, but you can go in there and search whatever you would like. So yeah, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.